Bethel. Indeed, it is an honor to serve and praise the Lord with you again, virtually. We invite you to get everybody together to praise and worship the Lord. Hallelujah. The song says, I am not forgotten. I am not forgotten. I am not forgotten. God knows my name. I am not forgotten. I am not forgotten. I am not forgotten. God knows my name. He knows my name. You got it now.
Just one day, 1 minute, 1 second.
Yeah!
Let the Lord satisfy
Yeah!
and to please you, Lord, and make you smile.
Good morning, New Bethel. Let's give God a hand clap of praise. You know that God is good, don't you? All the time, God is good. Amen, amen. I just want to thank God this morning. I want to just encourage the New Bethel family that even though we're going through some issues, we're going through this pandemic, we are going to come out. God has assured us that we will come out on the other side.
Yeah!
Much better.
Yes!
But there's some things that we're going to have to do.
Right?
So seek inside of yourself
Uh-huh.
and figure out what it is God wants me to do during this time.
Yeah!
Amen, amen. God is just so awesome. He's so good. I want you, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you to do something that maybe you haven't been doing, but when you get your Bibles out, I want you to turn to Luke. Book of Luke, chapter 8, verse 43. And I'm going to probably go to verse 48. Now, I'm going to be reading from the Message Bible. And not only that, I'm going to ask you to stand in your house, in your room, in your kitchen, wherever you are right now. I need you to stand. Amen. Amen. God, just thank you. We thank Him today. We thank Him today. And Luke 8, verse 43 reads, "In the crowd that day was a woman who for 12 years had been afflicted with bleeding. She had spent every penny she had on doctors, but no one had been able to help her. She slipped in from behind and touched the edge of Jesus' robe. And at that very moment, her bleeding stopped. Jesus said, 'Who touched me?' When no one stepped forward, Peter said, 'But Master, we've got crowds of people on our hands. Dozens have touched you.' Jesus insisted, 'No, someone touched me because I felt power discharging from me.' When the woman realized that she couldn't remain hidden, she knelt trembling before him. In front of all the people, she blurted out her story on why she had touched him and how at that moment she was healed. And Jesus said, 'Daughter, you took a risk trusting me, and now you're healed. But not only are you healed, you are made whole. Live well, live blessed.'" Amen, amen.
Amen.
Lord God, in prayer. Lord, we love you, we adore you, we give you honor. And I ask at this time, Lord, at this very moment, give us more faith. Stir up the atmosphere in this building. Stir up the atmosphere in our homes.
Yes, Lord.
Take away any anxieties from me right now.
Yes, Lord.
Lord, strengthen us right now. And let this lesson that I am about to teach not only help somebody else, but also help me.
Yes,
In
Lord.
Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And if I could give my lesson a title, I would call it "The Issue Has Transitioned."
Amen.
Amen. Amen. You can be seated in your homes and in the house of God.
Amen.
Amen. We have been going through a lot with transitioning for the past couple of months. I wanted to, and most of the time when we think about transitioning, we think about transitioning in death. We think about final resting place. And I have a definition here. The dictionary gives us for transitioning. It says increased restlessness, confusion, agitation, inability to stay content in one position, and insisting on changing positions frequently. You're exhausting family and caregivers. You withdraw from active participation in social activities, and you have increased periods of sleep. But today I don't want to talk about the transitioning to death.
Yeah.
Because in the Christian world, we also have to transition. All of us need to transition.
Right.
In other words, we need to change. We need to make some changes.
Yes.
Listen. It is when God, first point, it is when God gives us the time we need to adjust and reset the past.
Yeah.
That's one reason why we need to transition.
Right.
We need to let stuff go from the past.
That's right.
Another point is transition is an invitation to intimacy with God.
Yeah.
And that simply means at this time, right now, while we're in transition, because we're all in a transition,
Listen.
we need to get to know Him better.
All right.
And then a third point I want to make is transition is preparation for the new thing that God is doing in our lives.
Yeah.
All of you know that God is doing a new thing.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You know what? He is doing a new thing in each and every one of us.
Yeah.
And I thank God for that.
Uh-huh.
He wants us to live better. He wants us to be better. He wants us to love better.
Yeah.
He wants us to just be better. He wants us to be whole.
That's right.
And in order to transition, in order to get where He wants you to be,
Yeah.
He's going to have to make you whole.
Uh-huh.
Amen. 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 You know, in the past 2.5 months, Pastor Anderson and I have been going through something with Pastor Anderson's father. And Pastor Anderson's father transitioned a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And in that transition, what we did learn is that everybody transitions in a different way.
Right.
Everybody, it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
Sometimes people will take months to transition.
Yeah.
Sometimes people will take years to transition.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's only a minute.
Uh-huh.
We've learned that death and transition comes on its own time.
Yeah.
We can't predict that time.
Listen.
And it is a very unique experience for everyone.
Uh-huh.
My father-in-law sometimes would lay in his bed very restless, and he would yell out to us and to God. He kept that bold voice all the time, and he would give directives from his bed. He would yell out and tell us, put my bed up.
Uh-huh.
I want to go down.
Uh-huh.
And then sometimes he would just say, I want to go home.
Uh-huh.
You know, and I learned another thing during my father-in-law's transition, but I don't know if he was in one of his delirious periods or not. But he would say, daughter-in-law, where's Caleb? I said, I'll go get him. He said, that boy is so hard-headed. I wish he would just do what I tell him to do.
That's right.
So I found out that Pastor was hard-headed. I already knew that. But his dad confirmed it on his bed.
Listen. Listen.
I want to say this. Transitioning is a process.
Uh-huh.
We are totally dependent on God
Uh-huh.
to do some things for us. We have to
That's right.
totally depend on Him in everything that we do right now. But I know one thing right now. When we transition, when we get to that better place, it's going to be better on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now, I know my father has transitioned, and wherever he is right now,
Uh-huh.
it is better on the other side.
Yeah.
But here in Luke, the 8th chapter of Luke, it is a story of a woman who has been quarantined for 12 long years.
Yeah.
We refer to her as the woman with the issue of blood.
Right.
She needed a change. She needed a healing.
Uh-huh.
She needed to be transitioned.
Right.
Can you imagine 12 years of a problem that has been giving you a living hell?
Uh-huh.
Can you imagine 12 years of being in pain?
Have mercy, Lord.
Can you imagine 144 months of pain and cramping? Can you imagine 624 weeks of bleeding?
Listen.
Can you imagine 4,388 days
Say it.
of bloating?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. And we've been only quarantined for about 70 days, and we are about to lose our minds.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the opposite gender, the male gender, don't really understand the half of it. And what I'm saying is what a woman really goes through during that time of the month for her.
Sure, you're right.
Sometimes you want salt. Sometimes you desire sugar. Sometimes your body hurts from the top of your head to the little toe. Sometimes you can't sleep at night. You have restless days. And to top it off, somebody will come up in your face and say, what's wrong with you?
Have mercy.
The Bible says that this woman had run out of time. She had run out of money. She had only herself. She was by herself.
Yeah.
She had tried all kind of doctors and worthless physicians. You know, she may have been wealthy at one time.
Right.
But you know, when you have a chronic illness and insurance refuses to pay, it can take all that you have.
Say it.
Leviticus 15, 19 through 32 says it like this. It says that when a woman is on her monthly time, she is not to go out among people. People are not to come near her, and she is not to go near them.
That's right.
Even if you sit in a chair where she has sat, you become unclean.
That's right. That's right.
We're talking 12 years of social distancing, 12 years of being alone, 12 years where you can't go near people and people can't come near you.
Yes.
And so if this woman had a husband, if this woman had children, no doubt they probably had left her by now. Because her condition was unclean. And she was quarantined and she was to be kept apart.
Help us, Lord.
She was to be removed. She was detached. She was restricted for 12 long years.
Yeah.
And we're complaining about 3 months of staying at home.
Listen.
I'm not sure if she ever knew what a normal life was, if she could even remember what a normal life was. I'm sure that her girlfriends by now probably had left her too because they were tired of her complaining. Have you ever had a girlfriend and all they do is complain?
Listen.
Have you ever had someone and you're a friend and you have a conversation with them and the whole conversation they're talking about all of their problems?
Yeah.
I can remember one time when I was talking to a friend on the phone and they were just spilling their whole guts out to me. All their problems, and I'm at home and I have things to do. So even when I lay the phone down
That's enough.
and I come back in an hour, they still complain. You know how we have to do it. But God is still good.
Yes.
So I know she didn't have any friends to sit and listen to her complaints all day. This lady had no man to bring her flowers.
Right.
She had nobody to comfort her. She had nobody to tell her that everything was going to be all right.
Listen.
She had no one to whisper those sweet nothings in her ear. She had nobody to tell her that you are beautiful in spite of what you're going through.
Right.
Because she was unclean. She probably wasn't invited to any social events. She was even left out by the people of the church. Because she couldn't go. And they couldn't come to her.
Right.
She was by herself. Now in the book of Mark, it says that she had gone to doctors and they made her feel worse.
Wow.
Have you ever gone to a doctor
Listen.
and you felt worse after you left before you came?
That's right.
You felt like you had been run over by a truck by just going to the doctor.
Listen.
Because they didn't make the situation any better.
Any better.
She was weak. She was fainting. She was falling. She was blurred vision. She was running out of time.
Right.
And she was known as the woman with the issue. Because I know she wanted things to change.
Yeah.
I know she was about to lose her mind.
Right.
But in the midst of all of her pain and all of her disappointment,
Listen.
she had heard about a man named Jesus.
Yeah.
That's right.
She had heard that this man named Jesus could heal the sick. She had heard that this man Jesus had made the blind to see.
Yes.
She had heard that this man Jesus had straightened a bent over woman.
That's
Right.
right.
She had heard that this man Jesus had brought the dead back to life. And she had tried everything else.
Say it.
And now she wanted to try Jesus.
Right.
Isn't it something how we will try everything else?
Listen.
We will try everything else
Yeah.
before we go to Jesus. I don't understand that. Why is that we'll move to everything, friends, anybody, before we go to Jesus?
Right.
Now, this woman did have faith. I want to say that she did have faith, but she had the kind of faith that we want to call a superstitious faith.
Say it.
Because she felt that if she could just touch him, she would be healed.
Right.
She had the kind of faith, you know, where y'all used to put those horseshoes on top of your door.
Yeah.
She had the kind of faith like Tiger Woods, where he had to wear a red shirt on Sunday in order to win a game.
Right.
She had the kind of faith of athletes when they won't wash their dirty socks. She had that kind of faith.
Yeah.
She felt that if she could just touch his garment,
Right.
that she would be healed.
Yeah.
She had the kind of faith that, you know, when y'all send those texts or messages and it tells us that if you would send this to 10 people in 5 minutes, you're going to be blessed.
Yeah.
But I want to say this.
Say it.
Before I even knew anything about texting, before I even knew anything about messaging,
Right.
God was already blessing me.
Yeah.
He was already blessing me. So I don't think he's going to stop blessing me
Right.
if I can't send your text
Yeah.
in 5 minutes.
Say it. Say it.
I thank God for that. He was already blessing me.
Listen.
She didn't have that blind faith that Noah had. God told Noah to build a boat for the great flood, and Noah had never seen rain. She didn't have that crazy faith like Peter, because Peter thought that he could walk on water.
Right.
She had that faith where, Lord, if I could just touch his garment, if I could just touch him, it's something about you. If I could just touch you, if I could just touch right now, if I could just reach out and touch,
Right.
I'm going to be healed.
Yes.
Things are going to change for me. She had heard that he had healed before. She had heard that he had healed many people before.
Yeah.
And finally, her faith had brought her to this day.
Right.
I'm going to touch that man, Jesus.
Yes.
How many of you need to touch that man, Jesus?
Yeah.
Sometimes we just need to touch Jesus. She knew that she was not supposed to be in the streets that day. She knew that she was quarantined. She knew that she had to stay away. I know that I'm not supposed to be here. I know that I'm not supposed to be out in the streets.
Right.
But on this day, somebody say on this day,
This day.
in your houses right now, on this day,
This day.
I'm going to touch Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm desperate.
Yeah.
You know what? Desperate people
That's right.
do desperate things.
That's right. That's right.
Amen. She was desperate. And I know that right now many of you are going through and you are desperate. Many of you may have lost your job. Many of you have lost your livelihood because of this pandemic.
Yes.
I'm sure that she knew that her husband couldn't help her. She knew that her friends couldn't help her. She knew that her children couldn't help her.
Right.
But you know what? I'm going to crawl my way to Jesus today.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because I need Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't care how I get there.
Yeah.
I'm going to make my way to Jesus. I need a new normal.
Yeah.
You know what? We're going to have to find a new normal because things are never, ever going to be the same.
That's right.
But you know what? I found out that when you touch Jesus,
Yeah.
I found out that when you really come in contact with the man of God, you're going to experience a new normal.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever going to be the same.
Listen.
But you know what? When she reached out and touched him,
Yes.
Jesus turned around and said, "Who touched me?"
Who touched?
The first thing that I thought about when I heard that is Jesus, an all-knowing God, because you know he knows everything before it even happens.
Right.
He asked the question, "Who touched me?" And the first time I heard that was in Genesis, the 3rd chapter, when God went to Adam and Eve. And he asked them 3 questions. And those questions were, where are you?
Right.
Who told you that you were naked?
Right.
And the third question, he turned to Eve and said, "What is this you have done?"
Uh-huh.
I wondered why an all-knowing God would ask a question.
Yeah.
He asked a question to invoke an answer
Right.
from us.
Mm-hmm.
He asks questions because he wants to know what you know.
Mm-hmm.
When I was still in the classroom teaching and I taught, I would ask my students questions,
Mm-hmm.
not because I wanted to know the answer,
Mm-hmm.
because I want to see what you know.
Yeah.
That's why God asks questions,
Right.
because he already knows
Yeah.
the answer.
Uh-huh.
The frightened woman at that time, she came forward. She was scared and she was trembling. And she fell before him and said, "Lord, it was I.
Right.
I touched you. I touched you because nobody would touch me.
Uh-huh.
I touched you, Lord, because you are my last hope.
Yeah.
I touched you, Lord. I did it. It was me.
Uh-huh.
It was me, God. I touched you." And Jesus said to her at that very moment, "Daughter, your faith
Baby.
has made you whole."
Listen.
Right.
Listen.
But he didn't want her to go away believing that his hymn had magic in it.
Yeah.
He wanted her to have an experience that would be like none other.
Right.
He didn't want to go away letting her just have a physical healing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because you know what? God can heal your sickness every day, all day long.
Listen.
Right.
Listen.
But if he don't make you whole,
Uh.
you the same way you were when you left.
Say it.
Yeah.
If he
Say it.
doesn't do something different for you,
Uh-huh.
you're going to be the same way as you were before.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
God wanted her to know, I don't want you to just be physically healed.
Uh-huh.
I want you to be spiritually healed.
Uh-huh.
I want to transition you
Yeah.
to do some great things.
Right, right.
I'm not just going to change your physical being. I'm going to change your whole situation.
Uh-huh.
I want to be transformed. How many of you want to be transformed?
Yeah.
In this season right now, we need to be transformed.
Yeah.
Right now, we need to be going through some things. We need to be praying to God, saying, "God, I want to change from this situation.
Say it.
I need a new normal.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go back the way things were
Yeah.
before this pandemic.
Yeah.
I need some different stuff to happen for me right now."
Yeah.
Jesus just wanted her to be whole.
Uh-huh.
He wanted her to be able to worship with purpose.
Oh.
He wanted her to she wanted her to strive spiritually,
Uh-huh.
not just as usual,
Yeah.
the usual norm.
Right.
I'm tired of the usual.
Mm.
Aren't y'all just tired of the normal stuff,
Yeah.
the everyday stuff? I want some different stuff.
Different stuff.
I want to feel different.
Yeah.
He wanted her to have a new normal.
Right, right.
Anybody needs some transitioning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Today, I don't want to go back doing the same thing that I was doing before.
Right.
I need a spiritual healing.
Right.
I need to be made whole.
Yeah.
I want to come out of this pandemic better.
Mm.
I'm going to come out of this pandemic better.
Sure
Y'all
you
need to know that.
Yeah.
We're going to have to come out of this thing better.
Yeah.
We're going to have to come out of this thing knowing something different.
Say it.
We're going to have to come out of this being better, loving better, caring better. We're going to have to be better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need the old stuff.
Right.
Right.
I need a new normal.
Uh-huh.
I need to transition.
Uh-huh.
Someone is stuck right now in a transition.
Amen.
This lady was stuck for 12 years in a transition. I don't know how long you've been stuck in a transition, but I know one thing.
Listen.
That transition, that thing that I was in, I don't want to be stuck in it.
Yeah.
I want to move out of it.
Mm.
And you know what? I'm going to reach for it.
This.
She reached for his hand. I'm going to reach for it.
This.
I'm going to reach for it because you know why? Jesus he already knows. And he is waiting for you to reach. He's waiting for you to reach. And if you don't mind worshiping in this house today, if you don't mind worshiping in your home today, know that God is in the midst. God is going through this thing with you.
Right.
Right.
And God is going to see us through.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
If I find favor in your sight, Lord, please hear my heart's cry. I'm desperately waiting.
morning again, New Bethel. I hope that you enjoyed the message this morning, and I hope that we are all working on our transitioning, not to death, but to life. If you would like to pay your tithes or your offering, you can go to NBBWE.org, or you can go to Zelle or pay with your debit card on the website. We want to thank you again this morning, and have a blessed day.
Good morning. I just want to thank everybody and all of those who sent prayers out during the time of transition of my father. Those of you may not know, that he did go to be with God about 2 weeks ago. I still find myself talking to him and missing him so much because he was my hero. But I'm only going through what so many others have gone through. But those of you that sent cards and prayers, and we got them, and we just want to say thank you so much, because I know that you didn't have to do it, but sometimes it's just a thought. But for us, life does go on, and if there is a place, and we believe he's there, we will see him again. May God bless you, and thank you again. And New Bethel, you keep showing up and showing out. Thank you so much for just continuing to do what you've been doing, and we'll see each other again real soon. I promise you that. I love you. I'm your pastor, and I thank you so much. We'll see you soon. God bless.